Okay, I want to touch on this Perez Hilton's thing. First and foremost, mental health is one of the most important things that you can do. Just because you think that you can't see your traumas and your patterns does not mean that you are not repeating them. It does not mean that you do not have them. It does not mean that you didn't experience some sort of trauma in your childhood, you didn't get some kind of repercussion from abusive, addictive parents. Doesn't mean that they're not treating you something because of the way that they feel, and you're internalizing all that shit, and then you take it on your other people. You have, just because you're not aware of your patterns and what you're doing and your behavior that affects your behavior, does not mean that you don't have anything wrong with you. There's a lot of people that walk around out here acting like they don't doing anything to anybody, but they are. And they don't realize it, or they do it on purpose, one or the other. Your triggers are your cues to heal. Okay. If you feel like you can't deal with things that are happening in your life and you need help, then you need to ask for help, because nobody can read your fucking mind. There's some of us that can read your mind, but we are gifted, and that takes energy. Normally, we're not reading everybody's mind on purpose. Like, unless I know you specifically, unless you're in my energy, like, I'm not really focused on you. Okay, so nobody's gonna know unless you go talk to them and ask them and blah blah blah. Then there's no fucking way that we're gonna know what's wrong with you. So if you need help, you need to ask for help. Okay, there's a lot of things that happened to me in my past that I would just sit there and not say anything, and nobody fucking knew how I felt. And if you can't talk about it, write about it. I'm sorry, I'm very, like, I've been through a lot of fucking shit. My mother was a fucking gangbanger. In and out of jail till I was 13. She was in gangs. They used to steal from my grandparents when they're at work. They used to do all kinds of crazy fucking shit, her and my aunt. Okay, two of them that went to see this man that did witchcraft on them, and a lot of other, and then it fell on me and my brother, and then it fell on her kids, my aunt's kids too. And then we all had fucked up lives. But the other three kids that never went to him had a normal life. They had both their parents. There's probably some sort of spell work going on there where people break up, they get divorces, they cheat on each other. All that is just negative intentions and negative energy. And whether you want to believe it or not, there's a reason spiritually for fucking everything almost. So protection is key and important. You need to be You need to be doing a spiritual protection regimen, okay? A hygiene routine, all right? If you don't know what it is, look it up on TikTok. Go get a fucking book, I Am Not Your Mother. Start doing it, okay? There's people, we got these downloads. We start feeling people's energy. If people are focused, we manifest with our mind, okay? So if people are focused on something all the time, that's what's gonna happen. And if you're invoking that energy, you're bringing it on yourself. So, if you notice, be mindful of your thoughts and where they're going. But that man has been through so much shit that he finally fucking exploded. And to me, it's giving me like somebody was evil-eyeing him. A lot of people do not like him online. He keeps trying to make a different account on TikTok, and then and now he finally went to the edge and he didn't come back, and he's in a psychosis. He was trying to escape. He was trying to start something. It's very self-fulfilling. It might have been for like a cry for attention, a cry for help, which obviously it was, but he wants people to feel sorry for him in a way. It's very tricky, but what I'm seeing is like, when we go through those things, it's really like sometimes it can be manipulative. Like, I want you to see me differently, but at the same time, like, you shouldn't be harming yourself. If you feel like harming yourself, honey, you need help, okay? And you need to ask for help. Do not internalize that shit. Do not sit with it. Nobody cares. I manifested illnesses upon myself because of all the mental shit that I didn't have in check. Okay, I went through a lot of shit and I was begging for it. I was begging for death. I was begging for death. When my grandpa passed away, this man was doing head work on me for years, and every single time it got bad, like if I wasn't paying him, he was doing shit against me, thinking that he would torture me so I would give him money. I didn't have any money back then. I was a stupid kid. But he was still doing shit to me. Even before I met him, he was doing shit against my family. So, like, I felt the remnants of that. It's because when you don't clear spell work, it just keeps going. He had done stuff to my mother. But regardless, if you feel like you need help, you need to ask for help, because nobody can read your fucking mind. Nobody can read your mind. I do not condone that shit. You need to ground. You need to ground. Because you literally choose that shit. You choose to do that stuff. It's very neglectful. It's you neglecting your self-care. Because you get to that point where you're just like, I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. And you hurt yourself. Because you don't want to hurt other people, but you'll take it out on yourself. A lot of children take it when you... Okay, I'm being drawn, 614. I'm being drawn to this. When a child is yelled, when you yell at a child, they blame themselves. They don't blame you. They blame themselves. They blame themselves. So you're internalizing all that shit. You're internalizing things that people do to you. You're internalizing, and you need to be dealing with it outwardly. You need to be writing. You need to be journaling. You need to be grounded. You need to practice the spiritual hygiene routine. You need to be doing shadow work. You need to be doing protection. You need to stay in alignment in order to realize when other people are doing that shit and they're going through it and they're trying to project onto you. Because then you go through all these cycle of emotions to where you don't know what the fuck happened and why you feel like that. I've been through military trauma, childhood trauma, trauma after the military, addictions, all kinds of fucking shit to get where I am right now. And it's a healing journey. It takes years. It takes years. It takes years. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're going. You're on your wit's end. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it, but you're being called to fucking do it. It's up. And you're avoiding it, and it just keeps happening, and one thing after another, and it never fucking changes, and it gets worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Okay? You're going to keep going, and that's where you're going to get to. Your emotions are going to get to the end where you can't deal with it anymore. He was cutting himself. Don't go watch the video. He was cutting himself all over the place. That's sad. He's gonna have scars for the rest of his life all over his body. He probably thought he was gonna die. I'm a veteran with PTSD, and I know what it feels like to go through this shit. When I am not well, emotional setbacks. You need to see it for what it is. You need to analyze it. He's depressed. There's no hope. He needs to work with other people. He needs to collaborate. He needs to get therapy. This is where he goes to therapy, and there's intervention by medical people, medical and mental health people. Mental health is real. Just because you don't see it, like a lot of the veterans, a lot of people, you don't need to go to war to get PTSD either. You can get it. There's people that walk around here and lie about it and act like there's nothing fucking wrong with them when they've been through so much shit. And instead of dealing with it, they drink, they do drugs, they beat up their kids, they beat up each other, they take it out on each other, they eat all the time, overindulging, sex addictions, they cover it up with something else, okay? 911. 911. Call the cops if you need to, but there's another angel number with 9. Hold on. It is your cue from spirit. That is a powerful sign of spiritual awakening, transformation, and new beginning. You need to go through your cycles of change. It's a cue to heal. It's your cues to heal. Your triggers are what you need to heal. It is a cue for you to heal that. What he did was very sad, and he needs help, and he needs healing, but the fact that he took it there, anybody else feels that way, you need to ask for help. Nobody can read your mind. You need to talk about it. You need to write about it. You need to stay grounded, and you need to be stable. You need a stable environment and support